All right, let's get going. Well, welcome back, everybody, to the monthly sync. Today's session is all about AI and how you can really start to leverage it to improve the outputs of your customer success teams or any post-sales team. If you haven't joined before, I'm Tash. I'm VP of Customer Growth at Hook. I'm the host of the session and the podcast. And I'm joined today by two amazing CS leaders, Angela and Demelza. And I'm going to pass over to the two of you to do a little intro, if that's okay. Angela, do you want to go first?
Yes, so my name is Angela Lacey. So I lead the UKI customer success team for Mendix, which is part of Siemens. I think I'll now hand it over to Demelza just to kind of do a quick intro.
Nice.
Hi, everyone. Yes, I'm Demelza. I lead the customer success team in EMEA at Vanta. I was the first CSM of the organization 3.5 years ago in Europe, and now we've grown to over 1,000 employees globally. And at Vanta, we help and earn customers, help and prove customers' trust. So, yeah, really excited to be here today, Tash.
Nice. Thank you both. I'm so excited for today's topic and for the discussion. For those of you that haven't joined before, what we try and do is we'll do some focused discussion, and then we always try and leave time for questions at the end. We'll do the same thing today. So if you have questions on the topics or the things as we go through, please write them in the chat, and I'll try and make some space to get through as many as we possibly can in the last few minutes. The reason that we've picked AI as a topic today is, of course, there is a lot of hype around AI at the moment. Now, AI itself isn't new. There's been concepts and parts of AI that have been around for ages, like machine learning has been around for some time. Even generative AI, like writing emails, bits and pieces of that have been around for a good couple of years now. But what's really changed the game lately and got a lot of people talking is LLMs, or large language models. And that seems to have spun up a new level of hype about AI generally. But of course, we're thinking about it in this space of post-sales and customer success. And part of the reason we thought that this would be an interesting topic for discussion is I know the three of us, we attend a lot of roundtables and events and webinars and things like this. And, I'm meeting a lot of people who are saying there's loads of hype about AI. There's loads of hype about AI in CS, but no one's telling me what should I do? No one's giving me the detail. And so this is the goal of the session today, is just to try and share really openly between the three of us. What are we doing as leaders? What are our teams doing? And what are we also not yet doing? And just being honest about maybe where we're not leveraging AI yet and maybe where we want to. And so when I think about AI, and when at Hook we've been starting to talk about AI more and more with our customers, we think about it in kind of like 4 different categories that we're going to cover as a group today. We think about leveraging AI for efficiency. So like, how do you get things done quicker, or how do you scale? We think about it in terms of prioritization. So for your post-sales teams, how do you make sure that they're spending time on the right customers in the right places? We think about it for insight. Like, how do you take all these different data points as a CSM and like all of a sudden be really quick to give insight to your customer? And then we think about it as well in terms of account strategy. So we're going to talk about all 4 of those different concepts today, across the lens of what our team are doing, what we're doing as leaders, and then what we're not doing. So let's start out with Demelza and Angela for what your teams are doing already. So where your teams are already leveraging AI, and let's think about it first in terms of efficiency. So for doing things quicker or for helping you scale. Angela, I might pass over to you first. What are your team doing right now for AI in terms of efficiency?
Yeah, definitely. So I think internally, so we have our own version of ChatGPT, so we can put customer data, kind of personal information, whatever that may be, that's related to the company within kind of the different large language models that you can use through ChatGPT. But one of the main ways that we use that at the moment is around kind of the email sentiment. So I think in CS, you typically have maybe some difficult conversations, maybe difficult news that you have to deliver, whether that be something with the product, you're having maybe a difficult contract negotiation, whatever that may be. And ensuring that the sentiment of the email is maybe not as apologetic as it should be, or that it's more action oriented. Or sometimes we kind of blurt everything out on email, but then we want to kind of make sure that it's a bit more concise and clear as to what we're trying to deliver to the customer. So that's one of the key ways that we use it at the minute in terms of kind of harnessing, I guess, the power of the large language model to kind of make a little bit more sense of the kind of the message that we're putting out to the customers via email.
Yeah,
so that's
nice.
one of the key ways.
Difficult news to deliver to a customer in customer success.
Never happens, does it? No.
Never. Hey, can I ask you a question? And Demelza, I'm interested in your response to this too, and I'm going to come to you. What's your thoughts, Angela, on leaving in the M dash, or like taking it out, that long dash that ChatGPT and models put into the text? Like, do you get your team to screen for that? Do you embrace it? Like, what's your...
Yeah, I think we do remove it, or like at least try to like, because otherwise, although the sentiment of the email and of course what you're kind of writing actually is your own voice, right? So like the first thing that comes back from ChatGPT isn't typically the first thing that we're going to send to the customer. It's not a matter of like copy paste. You do kind of want to go through it with your own eyes. Does it sound like it's from me and it's not necessarily from a bot? I think there's other things that we've kind of done within different teams as well within Mendix is kind of refining what that is. So making sure that your tone of voice is kind of becoming clearer and clearer throughout that, or kind of removing those M dashes. So it is one of the things that I kind of ask for the team to do. But yeah, that's my own personal preference, only because you want to make sure that they understand that it actually is your voice coming across and not a machine.
Yeah, nice. Demelza, what about you? What are your team doing in terms of leveraging AI for efficiency?
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting how you talk around health hooks, thinking about it. It's very similar at Avanta. So Kelly Bray, our VP, kind of is like fundamentally believes AI can be our competitive advantage if executed correctly. So there's this really like call to action across the post-sales business at Vanta right now to think around how we should be using AI. Again, we're really in this exploratory phase, and we've rolled it out in some areas to make some process more efficient, but we know we've got a long way to go around how we can utilize it. So we're just really scratching the surface as it stands today. One way that we're utilizing it is we obviously record all of our calls on Gong, and we have the setting set up that sends an automated email to our inbox after each call finishes with a customer or a prospect in pre-sales, and summarizes what that email looks like and what the steps are for the prospect. So we know, onboarding lots of customers at once, like we do at Vanta, we need to be really clear around what those call to actions are to ensure that, customers are following their marching orders and getting implemented quickly with us. So we found these emails are really helpful. But to your point, Angela, like they're most useful reading it and then editing it and making it, slightly iterating on it. We don't just try and send it blankly. We want our CSMs to come in and personalize it and ensure that it's going to make sense for a customer to read. So we give them the starting pack, and then we're expecting them to really go in and personalize it to make sure that the quality is good and it makes sense, and the right actions are there for the customer to follow in that as well.
Yeah, nice. So, go for it.
No. I was just going to talk around an agent we've just introduced, but I
want to hear it. Yeah.
Okay, great. So as of literally this week, we've introduced the Dust agent. So what problem we're trying to solve here? So a lot of our CSMs are still kind of living in their inboxes. They're working with large books of business. Lots of customers are highly engaged about Vanta and want to know how to do certain things in the platform, which is fantastic. But it means that there's this a huge amount of time being spent in inboxes rather than talking to the customers that maybe not talking to us or getting on calls with the right customers. So we want to find ways to make that process quicker. So what we've done is we've fed in a lot of information to like our own Vanta agent as such that has all the information around how to answer a specific GRC question or a platform question on how to do something. So with that has a workflow to our inbox now that sits next to it. So we can quickly put in the email that's received from the customer and get the best answer. And the good thing about this is it attaches to our community articles, our case studies, things like that. So it's looking at lots of different places to get the information, which speeds up the process hugely for the CSM, who, instead of them having to write that email from scratch and gather that information from lots of different places.
Yeah, I love that. And we're starting to play with some stuff like that at Hook too. So what I'm hearing from you guys around efficiency is writing of emails. So whether that be like automatic writing of emails, or whether it be, hey, like I just need a bit of help getting my tone right. But also the call summaries and what are the actions I took from that call? What's the sentiment of the call? What's AI picking up that I need to go do next? I think where I'm excited for AI to go is to then just pre-create some of those next steps for CSMs. It's one thing, isn't it, surfacing the like, here's the things you should take from that. The next step is like, and then I've written you this thing, or you should go do this thing. And I think that's where I'm excited to see the world and the space go a little bit next. Okay, well, if we go back to our 4 different pillars, so efficiency was the first one. The second one was prioritization. And I know I have ideas here. I think from memory from chatting before, this piece was an area that both of you said, hey, we're not doing as much as we'd
Yeah.
like to here. Am I right? Is that
Yeah,
fair?
most definitely. Yeah, I think as it like if you think about like what we're trying to do, and I know we'll talk about it later on in terms of things that I want to focus on in terms of the team is around health score, propensity, like being able to kind of understand where do we need to be a bit more proactive with the signals that we're getting back from the customer, whether that's through usage or whatever that may be. So yeah, it's definitely an area that is a bit of a focus for the next FY for us for sure.
Yeah, nice. What about you, Demelza?
Yeah, I think very similar to you, Angela. Like, not a lot that we're doing here as it stands today. Kind of feeding off what you said as well, Tash, around like predictive AI. And this is where I really see like we have a customer health score that we utilize at Vanta, but it's up to the CSM to go in and look at that and work out what to do next. And I think where our next sort of stage of evolution is, yeah, as you said, what are the right actions to take with a customer health score of that size, and depending where they are in their specific customer journey. So I think we've got a lot of data that we can use to predict that we're not doing right now. So very excited for that to be brought out and for us to kind of evolve that mission a little bit as well.
Yeah.
And we mentioned right at the start, like machine learning for health scores, and machine learning is a part of AI, right? Like it's been around for some time in terms of analyze historical customer behavior, look at what that behavior led to. Was it a renewal? Was it an upsell? Was it a churn? And then use that to go and predict how that behavior will lead to like future revenue and future renewal or churn events for your business. And so that's been around for some time. And we've obviously been helping customers leverage that for prioritization for some time now. What's really interesting with the emergence of LLMs is now you can start to sift through what we would call unstructured data. So now you can start to read these call summaries or meeting summaries, every bit of detail in your support tickets, every bit of detail in your email, and start to find and surface signals from that piece too. And so now for CSMs, it's like you've got this holistic view of what does the hard data tell me, but also what is the sentiment and the patterns from the engagements or the non-engagement with my customer tell me, to give me this like one picture of what do I need to do and how do I need to go do it. And so I think that this is going to be a really, really exciting space for CS in the next couple of years for sure. Okay, well, the third piece then is around insight. So for me, this is like making sense of large amounts of data or large amounts of text that just take a ton of time. Demelza, what are your team doing right now in terms of leveraging AI in that space?
Yeah, absolutely. So we work with large books of customers in a kind of scale fashion with the CSM books at Vanta. So a lot of what we're doing is trying to identify which are the customers that we need to be talking to that we're not right now. And for lots of reasons, how can we drive better adoption of those accounts? How can we build advocacy? Just ones we haven't spoken to in a while. So we introduced what we call the quality framework. So we're trying to kind of evolve how we do our outreach, our proactive outreach to our customers. So instead of sort of, those check-in emails, we've kind of gone to the next stage. We're really trying to find kind of compelling reasons with our customers to reach out. So, we're looking at lots of different data sources for this. It might be the original gong call with the AE that had with this prospect that then became the customer around why they were originally interested in Vanta. It might be looking at Crunchbase to see that they've had some recent funding. It might be looking to see if they've got a new CISO that's joined the company. But we want to be able to look at all of these different insights from different places across our internal systems and obviously external internet as well, and come up with a really compelling message, personalized message around why they should get on a call with us, why they should speak to us, and what we know lots about their business as well. So we utilize that. What I'd love to this is phase one of improving our quality outreach and utilizing AI to help us there with ChatGPT. What I'd love is for us to bubble up those insights in a predictive, in an automated way to our CSMs, right? So they're not necessarily having to go out and find them, which does take some time still. Those insights are sitting there waiting for them as they happen. So we're not there yet, but that's what I'd love to happen. So we can be really reactive and quick as to when they might have a fundraise or a new CISO joins the organization, to make it even more impactful when we're doing that type of outreach with our customers. But we're seeing really good traction with that type of quality framework that we're deploying to have more conversations of a better quality with our customers.
Love that. What about you, Angela? Is that similar, different to what you guys are doing?
I would say a little bit different, but also like everything that you're saying, the Demelza, like the entire time, like, yeah, that's exactly what I want to do. That's exactly it. Because I think it's those kind of insights that you get from things that are happening in the news that really make it so like that compelling event. Because I think especially when you have a large book of business, right? Sometimes you just have customers that go quiet and you're trying to figure out what's the kind of thing, what's the kicker of the way that I can kind of get them to re-engage with us. So yeah, would love to know kind of what the phase 2 does for you guys, because that sounds really exciting. We work with like enterprise level kind of customers. So I think a smaller like set, but then obviously you kind of have to go a little bit deeper into like the business goals of what they're trying to achieve. So one thing that does take quite a lot of time, or used to take a lot of time, was kind of distilling an annual report, right? You have like pages and pages and pages of text, and you kind of think to yourself, what are the kind of the key things, and also how do those kind of relate to what we're trying to do, and for us it's kind of like around innovation, going, deploying faster to market, whatever that may be in terms of software development. So being able to kind of quickly distill like an annual report, put it against our metrics, and then kind of align those two things together. And then in addition to that, I think similar to what you do in terms of your call transcripts, we do things called business value assessments, where we'll kind of do an interview with a customer, right, around what was the before state of implementing the new tool that they have, and then what's the after state. And within those interviews, you get lots of data, and like obviously you're kind of like furiously writing notes and trying to capture everything. But if you kind of record that information and then put it into, again, like a ChatGPT, you kind of can get some of the key metrics, and then also we can then take those key metrics and say, okay, well, in this kind of company size, when you go to like an FMCG customer, what are the typical things that we would see? And then you can start to kind of distill and distill and distill, and then get some hard metrics that we can then reflect back to the customer based upon all those different types of levels of research that we've done. So I think it's like trying to take loads of information around things that are happening in the industry, the annual report, as well as the things that you capture on a call, to be able to kind of bubble up really kind of hard facts that we can deliver back to the customer in terms of value as well.
Love that. I'm so glad you brought up the value piece. We just launched a customer growth masterclass today all about value. And one of the things that's talked about in there is like this concept of, if you don't understand what value means to a customer yet, just having an opinion and provoking a conversation. And I think one of the best ways to do that is to leverage AI to form this opinion of what that customer might care about based on the size, the space, the funding round, and all of that good stuff. So I'm very happy you brought that piece up. So the last of the 4 kind of sections was strategy. And so for me, this is like account strategy, customer strategy, how you help yourself get into a better position ahead of renewal. Demelza, what are your team doing in this space?
Yeah, so this is actually been rolled out like company-wide at Vanta. So we're like in a really fortunate position where we're closing a lot of deals quite quickly, and there's a huge volume of them, especially like, around month end and things like that. And there just isn't enough time in the day for the AEs to effectively hand over this many new deals to our CSMs. And we know that we want to be really fast around getting on calls with those customers and having kickoffs with them. And we needed to find a way to like get the information that the AE has done such a good job of collating, during that sales cycle, and bringing it over to the CSM so they're ready to have, a really high value conversation with them. So we deployed the AI handover. So we take all the insights from Gong, from the Salesforce notes, and we actually provide like an automated handover document for those CSMs so they can read that ahead of time. And then if they have questions, they can follow up with the AE, but we have a lot more detailed insight, and predetermined questions on what we need to answer going into those kickoff calls. So we found that to be a really, really insightful way to work at scale and work at the hyper growth that the process demands of where we are as a business, to ensure that the CSMs have the insights they need.
Really cool. The AI handover. I think you need to trademark that.
Yeah, exactly. I'd buy it. So that's
yeah. One of the things that we're playing around with a little bit here is leveraging the LLMs to look through obviously all of your meeting transcripts and all of your call transcripts, and help you then build out an org chart. And so to tell you not only who you should be speaking to, but their like profile in the organization from all of the calls it's gotten from pre-sales and post-sales, to say, this is who your EB is, this is who your champion is, but hey, you haven't spoken to this person in a while. Here's what value means to that person, what they care about. And I think there's just a ton of really good stuff that sits in little moments across calls and emails from pre-sales to post-sales that can actually be used to build this really, really cool picture of that like stakeholder side of account planning.
Yeah, building on that, Tasha, I was thinking of something that, like, yeah, as a question, like, what are we doing, what are we not doing today that I really wish we were? And that sort of like the ability for AI to give us a view of how multi-threaded we are on an account would be
Yeah.
phenomenal. I find that it's very subjective, and we don't have a really good way of risk mitigation around multi-threading.
Right.
We just don't know how many different contacts that we're talking to and of what seniority and influence they have. So yeah, if AI could help us kind of build out an org chart and a sort of, I don't know, multi-threading score of some kind to kind of understand who we should prioritize, I think that would be super helpful to help us, prioritize the right customers to be focusing on.
Yeah, nice. I don't want to give too much away, but we're a little bit on our way with that. So I'm going to keep that little bit of extra product feedback in my back pocket. Thanks to Melza. What about maybe Angela? Let's stay on this theme of like what you're not yet doing, but you'd like to. What's your piece, Angela?
I mean, again, I was thinking a lot about this in the lead up to this and in just everything I think that you guys have kind of spoken about. And yeah, particularly what you've already kind of done, I think, with Invanta Demelza is like incredible. Sometimes it's a matter of also taking a lot of the ideas that I have around what is our focus for FY26, because we start our FYs in October. And almost, and this is going to sound really nerdy to do, but it's a matter of, okay, I'm going to put together like these are the metrics that we need to hit. This is kind of the state of play in terms of what our accounts are, and then starting to kind of refine what are the kind of achievable things that I need to do on a monthly and then quarterly basis in order to achieve the goals by the end of the year. Because in my mind, I have a lot of ideas, but I think what AI does help me do is to kind of put it into more bite-sized, metric-based like KPIs that I can kind of track against. So one thing that I've started to do is actually just voice record myself in terms of what my ideas are, and then start to kind of put it down in terms of a plan. Sorry, the light just went out in the office, so apologies. So that's one thing that I haven't done yet because I didn't do it last year, just because I didn't have access to the tools that we have now. But it's something in terms of like the planning stage for next year. Is that's kind of what I'm going to kind of do. Is these are all the different key like points that we have across the year. How do we kind of put it together? What's the map look like? What's the calendars look like? To kind of bring it all to life. And then basically take all of your ideas as well, Demelza, in terms of the AI changeover and all the little bots and everything else, and then just go and then also put that in. Thanks so much.
I love it. This is what this is all about. And time is absolutely flying. I can't believe where it's gone. Let's finish with a couple more quick fire questions. Maybe share a little bit each of you on what you're doing as a leader. So less about your team now, but like what's one thing you're leveraging AI for as a leader? Demelza, we'll come to you first.
Yeah, so I kind of, if I'm providing written feedback to any of my team, I always write it up first, and then I ask AI, how can I make this clearer and more actionable? And really making sure that I'm giving it the fairest account and actionable feedback to go off. And it's really useful to kind of clarify what I'm meaning and if I have more examples and things like that. So I definitely kind of test my own thinking and use it as a sort of conversation around how I can get a better answer before I give that feedback to one of my team to help them.
Yeah, really cool. I have to admit, I've tried that a little bit since you told me that a couple of weeks ago as well, and that works really well. Yeah. Angela, what about you?
Yeah, I will say I also took that from you as well, Demelza, from a couple of weeks ago. I think similar to that, though, is like, okay, I know that there's a goal in terms of where someone on my team would like to get to. So then how do I kind of make that into an actionable plan? So like, for example, if it has to do with public speaking, or if it has to do with maybe being more proactive within accounts, what are ways that we can kind of do things that are more manageable and that they can also kind of achieve in that kind of period of time? So over the next quarter, what are some 3 things that we need to kind of do together, and then kind of create it into that plan? So that's one thing that we do.
Love it. All right, I'm going to ask you guys both one more fun quick fire question, and this is a 5-minute warning. If anybody wants to put any other questions in chat, I've seen there's 3 in there. We'll come to them in a second. But if you have any other questions, now's your time to add them in. What's one fun non-work thing that you're leveraging AI for right now that you feel comfortable sharing with the group and the wider audience? Who knows who's going to watch it? Demelza, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, trips. It's like anywhere we're going on holiday, and it's also very sweet because my dad's started using it as well. So he like will print off the AI agenda now when we go on a trip, which is just the sweetest thing. But I have also used it for trips. So if you're going anywhere and you want to like plan out a day, and it should incorporate a wine tour and you know, an easy access to get back to your hotel, you literally can give it, you know, as much detail as you possibly want, and you've got the best day with the best reviewed restaurants and wineries and things like that. So I've had very, very good days on ChatGPT. So thanks for that.
Amazing. My parents aren't on ChatGPT, I hope, and I hope that stays that way, because that is deadly for everybody. Angela, what about you?
Yeah, similar though, but I think one of the key, I mean, I use it for like my entire life in terms of how I plan everything. But one thing I did recently is I have a little 4-year-old boy, and I had a bunch of things. I just needed to make him something to eat. And I need to make something in 15 minutes. This is what's in my fridge. Like, give me a recipe to be able to do that. And then it just kind of spread out a recipe to me. And then, yeah, he was a happy camper. So just simple things like that.
Love that. I have one that's not as fun. It's a bit boring actually, but I helped my next door neighbor. She had a house survey done, and it was like an 18-page document, and I put it into ChatGPT, and I was like, what's the 3 things she needs to worry about from this house survey? And it popped them up, and I was like, here's the 3 things you need to go and ask the surveyor about. So I'm a big fan of using it for things like that as well. Yeah. Ladies, you have been wonderful. We've got a couple of questions. Jack, I'm going to come to you first. Thanks for joining. Demel's, a question for you. For the AI handover, what format are you delivering this handover to your CS team? Is it a Slack note? Does it sit in Salesforce? Where does that sit?
Yeah, it sits in Salesforce right now. So yeah, along with the opportunity and everything like that, that's where it will sit for the teams to look at.
Nice, thank you. Okay, there's a couple of questions around the data side of things. So Ina, you asked, what steps do you take to improve the quality of the data fed to AI? I'll take that. I think maybe we can help you with that offline, Ina. I think traditionally with machine learning, having good quality data meant you get better models and better predictability. I think what's interesting now with the emergence of the LLM stuff and the unstructured data is you don't need to worry so much about your data quality. But perhaps, Ina, that's one that the team over here can help you with offline in terms of what good looks like there. And then Mina, so what types of tools are you using today to collate and analyze the unstructured data? We're doing that at Huck, so we're leveraging unstructured data to surface risk and upsell opportunities for our customers. So again, another thing that perhaps we can follow up with and help you. And then David, do you exclude any type of information when you're using ChatGPT? So like personal information for the customers, interested in the thought process here. I think Demelza and Angela, both of you are leveraging internal versions, right? So you don't have to worry about data. Am I right there?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Exactly. So they're all like enterprise ChatGPT licenses. We absolutely do not allow like any employees to use their own licenses with this as a way to protect customer.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nice. There you go, David. Little tip for you there. All right, we are at time. Angela, Demelza, you've both been absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much for joining and for sharing your insight. For everybody that's been on, thank you for joining too. We'll share the recording and some materials after. We're going to take a break in August, so no webinar in August, but we'll be back in September. And thank you all so much. Enjoy the rest of your day. See you later.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.